Joining me now is New South Wales One Nation leader Teena McQueen and Sky News contributor Teena McQueen. Hi to you both. Good to have you on tonight. Thank you. Teena, we'll start with you. You are a former federal Liberal Vice President. How on earth can something like this happen?
Oh, it makes me sick. It really does make me sick. It's a dysfunctional executive. The problem is a lot of those guys on the executive are factional hacks. There's about 2 out of a very large executive that have any sort of integrity at all. So there needs to be federal intervention. There needs to be federal intervention now. They can't muck around with this. I mean, it's just a disaster. And even listening to you read that spot-on editorial, it just devastated me. You know, it really hurts. But we've got to pick up our socks, clean out the whole thing, have federal intervention, move on and prepare for a very important federal election.
So you think Dutton needs to get involved? Because he's standing back from this at the moment.
Look, Dutton makes some gutsy moves. He makes a lot of policy decisions that are very brave and bold, and he doesn't get on the horn about it. He just does it. And I suspect that's what he'll do here. He'll sit back, give it some thought, and then bang.
And then bang something. I mean, how shambolic is this, Tanya? You'd think somebody would go, hey, do you think we've got the forms in or not? A memo, something, a post-it note, anything.
It's core business, isn't it, for a party office? I would have thought
so?
It's core business. I facetiously asked the Labor Party yesterday in question time whether this was, in fact, any fault in the Electoral Commission, perhaps in their processes, or is this just an own goal of the Liberal Party? And of course, we know it's their own goal for the Liberal Party. But interestingly, the Labor Party took the approach of standing back. We're very sad for democracy. Now, we know the Labor Party's not sad. They're in fact delighted, OK? This is great for the Labor Party. It's great for Anthony Albanese in particular, because he knows that the Liberal machine in New South Wales is in complete disarray. This is not just a minor error, and this will set the Liberals back a decade in New South Wales.
Well, hang on. No,
a decade, Teena.
A decade. And Labor-controlled councils, and they start with all this rubbish about free public.
Well, it takes a long time to get that message out. In the meantime, you're going to have a federal election, OK? In the meantime, you have a federal election. You have councillors, Liberal councillors, completely missing in very key areas like Penrith, like Queanbeyan, like South Coast. Gilmore's a seat that Dutton has to win if he wants to be Prime Minister. 2 of the councils there won't have Liberal councillors. Northern Beaches, Lane Cove, as he said earlier. Every Penrith, half of Penrith won't have Liberal councillors. You had a chance to have Mark Davies as a mayor there. You won't now. OK, gone. So not only are sitting Liberal MPs going to be battling these Labor Greens councils, you can't even deal with the marginals. This is a huge, colossal error. But if it's just incompetence, that's one thing. I hope it's not more than that, Danica. I hope it's not more than that, because it's interesting to me. I had a look at which sitting councillors made it and which ones didn't, and you can see that there are more in the moderates that got through than the Conservatives. Isn't that interesting? I mean, were they prioritised? I think they were prioritised, Teena, in the last minutes there. They were.
My branches are up on the Central Coast. I know they're in, thank goodness, but we had to fight like hell. It was continually people going to the office, and, you know, if you didn't do that and really scream at this moron Richard Shields and Don Harwin, you know, and we were prepared to do that.
Where's the apology from Don Harwin, Teena?
Well, he's still there.
Is it?
He's still there.
Don Harwin, do we remember him? Don Harwin was the minister, if we recall, when Gladys Berejiklian locked Sydney down. He rushed up to his Pearl Beach holiday house, OK? That whole debacle, that's what he's best known for.
He'll be gone.
And, well, he has to be gone.
Well, apparently they're voting
There's no question of that,
next week for that. So,
I mean, Dutton, I'd be very worried.
You'd have to.
Membership are closely monitoring how these executives vote. Like, if they want to get back on, so they're not stupid.
Absolutely.
But hang on, you know what I made a point? I made a point in Parliament yesterday. The Labor Party has had ICAC findings, OK? Cash in Aldi bags. It's had every corruption scandal, you name it, but they can still fill out the form and process it. I mean, they know this date 3 years in advance.
Look, it's a mess. It's an absolute I mean, it beggars belief. We're months out from a federal election, yet here we are in New South Wales. But look, let's move on, because Zali Steggall is continuing her claims that Peter Dutton is a racist over his stance on visas for Gazans.
These are families that you are seeking to paint that somehow they are all terrorists. We heard you in silence. You can hear me in silence.
Order.
Stop being racist.
Peter Dutton is dangerous.
But your term is divisive.
Dangerous with this.
Is it not?
This is what he's done all his life, just attack migrants, whether it's Chinese, Indian, New Zealanders or now Palestinians. He's basically Pauline Hanson without the personality.
Yeah. How's that from Jason Clare there, Teena?
Yeah.
Pauline Hanson. That'll be a good one for you. But I just want to ask, I mean, why is it that they always bring out the race card? It's always a race. You can't answer genuine questions because suddenly it makes you an alleged racist.
I would ask Zali Steggall what the makeup is of her electorate, of what she's the member. Because I think you find there's very few refugees in that area. Very few. So she can't speak. I mean, it's absolutely disgraceful. And I've suggested, Mr. Dutton, lawyer up for this. She can't go, and I saw it on Sky, nearly dropped when she first called him a racist, and she's done it repeatedly since. She's a total nut job, and I think she's overstepped the mark this time.
Well, I mean, she's saying it today, he's dangerous, but what do you make of those comments there?
Look,
Pauline Hanson without the personality.
Yeah. Well, there's more personality in a school blackboard than Jason Clare, I can tell you that much, having known him for a number of decades. Look, I'll say this, when you see the footage there with Zali, she's obviously distressed because there's interjections and interruptions in Parliament. Well, guess what? That's part and parcel of parliamentary life, isn't it?
Totally.
Why would you need to go into insults? So her first point of call is, I'll just call Dutton and others a racist. It just seems to be the go-to insult now, isn't it, when you want to play victim?
Yeah.
Look, I think everyone's really sick of the victim playing from people like Zali and the Labor Party. They're just playing this up. They know that there are real concerns about national security. There are real concerns about screening these refugees. People are right to have concerns, and I think Dutton is just reflecting the broader view of Australia.
Absolutely. It is not racist to raise genuine concerns nor to raise genuine questions. It's just ridiculous. Now, AFL CEO Andrew Dillon has struggled to explain the code's diversity requirements that will see a social inclusion provision included in its contracts for its latest broadcasting deal.
You mean fewer middle-aged white men like Brian Taylor and James Brayshaw, and more, I don't know, more Indigenous commentators, more female commentators, more gay commentators?
Well,
what do you actually want?
I don't think it's less of anything. I think it's just more of...
Well, but it will be.
Oh, no, not necessarily.
Well, it has to be.
We see this in multiple workplaces now. This is not an AFL-only issue. It's no longer the best candidate, the best person for the job. Suddenly you've got to have the diversity hires. You've got to have enough women. Social inclusion. Where does it end, Teena?
It doesn't, and there's a new group every month created. But it's just got to stop. And I think it's not serving these companies well, I can tell you. It's not. So I think, like you said, we've just got to have the best person for the position and cut all this rubbish out. Everybody's sick of it. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. But even in government,
the box. That's all it's about. Social inclusion, diversity. If anything, these terminologies mean nothing to most people. In fact, it's divisive. And the very fact that this AFL CEO couldn't explain it, said, don't worry, it's in the contract, but it doesn't mean anything. No, it does mean something. We know from people like Israel Folau, what's written in a contract really does matter. And this will play up and down the track in some sort of dispute.
But you can't explain it because there's a new group, as I said, every week. So
what's social inclusion?
It's social, exactly. It's out of control now. And quite frankly, I love AFL. I grew up on AFL, coming from Perth. I want to hear the best commentators for the job because I can't commentate to save my life, and they may as well give me a job while they're going at it, while they're on the diversity. Good to have you both on. Tanya Mihalich, Teena McQueen. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.